Okay, welcome back, everyone, to our Motzi Yom Tov, Motzi Shabbos marathon, and I'm grateful to Hashem that our technology is working fine, and we welcome in A.B. Spry, Menachem Yemansky, and Yaakov Warman, and Berish Gesseman, Aaron Swade. We have in mind for his daughter, Faye Basara, and for himself, Aaron Ben Sari, Yitzi Fuchs. We have in mind for Yochai Ben Ruchama, Dr. Black, Yisrael Fisher, Mark Frankel, Michael, that's Michael Avram and Michael and Nachman Chapler, Yitzi Muller, Ruvain Shannon, Ilya Shutman, Danny Vogel, Stephen Holtzman, Moshe Lehman, Chaim Braun, Gabriel Etzman, Rabbi Kranz, Shelley Zeitlin, and David Helfkat. As we have our Baruch Hashem, our Olam, after not seeing everybody for 3 days. It's wonderful to see everybody. 4 days. Wonderful to see everybody. And we are... Yes.
I'm sorry, Rabbi. You said Faye Bas Sarah. It's Sarah Bas Faye.
Sarah Bas Faye. She should have a refuah shalem Mr. Shachar Yisrael. We're sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Yomish Bas Yaakov Zev, and Yodei Arif, Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tziv Yemir Bas God, Yosef Ben Tzim, Yaakov Zev, the refuah shalem for Moshe Ari Ben Miriam, and for a great shidduch for Chaya Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel, a great shidduch also for Batya Bas Sarah, by Baruch Ian, Leonish Bas Yaakov Chaim and Abba, Esther Bas Yonah, Avram and Shmuel HaKohen, the refuah shalem for Liva Bas Anya, the refuah shalem for Yosef Shmuel Ben Miriam, for a healthy mommy, healthy baby, for Lior Sarah and Ariel Bas Elza Rivka, and for Yitzchak Ben Tzim and Dusha Moshe Ben Esther Fradel. We should have a refuah shalema b'ser Shachar Yisrael. Now, if you remember, we are looking. Yes.
Chaim Rafal Ben Sarah.
Chaim Rafal Ben Sarah. If you remember, we are looking for how Rabbi Akiva knows that the Pesach can only be brought from Chulin, can only be brought from clear funds, and we're quoting this very long pasuk that says a lot of different names of karbanos, and we're learning something from each of the names of the karbanos. We're holding now by Chatas, which is 6 lines from the top of Pei Gimel Amud Aleph. Chatas, ma chatas mikacha biblua, just like a sin offering, imparts flavor and gives its own status to that which touches it. So let's say a chatas touches a shlamim, so a chatas touches a shlamim, the shlamim, which usually could be only eaten for 2 days and 1 night, will only be able to be eaten before 1 day and 1 night, like a chatas. If the chatas is puzzle, then the shlamim will become puzzle. So af kol mekacha beblua. So also other karbanos are mekadosh in that way as well. What do we learn out from Oshim? Oshim ma Oshim ein shvir ushil yakadosh by. Just like an Oshim, its embryo or its sac is not wholly inside it. That's because an Oshim is a male. So obviously it can't have an embryo or a sac. We'll see that we hold done in Efsher Mishi Efsher. Afkol, so also any other kachim, even if it's a female, ain't shvira shilya kaddish by. Its embryo or its amniotic sac is not sanctified because kachim only become holy when they come out. Kasav vlada is kachim bav yasin ein kedoshim. They only come holy when they come out. Done in Efsher Mishi Efsher, and we can learn out that which is possible from that which is not possible, because obviously an Oshim is a male, so it's not possible. Miluim, the inauguration, Ma Miluim Moisreyem B'Sreifa. Anything that's left over has to be burnt. If something wasn't eaten, it has to be burnt. It's nicer. Ve'ein Balichayim Moisreyem. But living animals never become meiser. That means if you lost an animal, separated, a new one, offered it, and then found the old one, it's a live animal, it's not burnt, rather it's left out to pasture until it gets a mum. So, and how do we know by Miluim it's not? Because there were no animals lost by the Miluim. So af kol moisreim b'sreifa, noiser is burnt, But live animals are not considered leftovers to be burnt. B'sreifa. Now, what do we learn out from shlamim? Ma shlamim mifaglin u'mispaglin. Just like shlamim. If you shecht it, having in mind to eat it after its time, or smoke up after its time, it makes its accompanying nesachim pigel, or mispaglin, and it itself becomes pigel. Afkal, also all karbanas, mifaglin, if you have in mind shchita, or in one of the four avodas adam, to eat it after its time, or smoke it up after its time, it is mefagel, it ruins its nesachim, and it itself becomes pigel. Now, so far we don't have a source that the Pesach could only be brought from chulin. However, remember we're looking for a source from Rabbi Kiva. So b'masnisa tana mishmei Rabbi Kiva, zayis atayra, and it says oila, etc. mincha. Now about the oila he agrees, but mincha, he learns out from mincha. Ma mincha mekadesh is biblua. Just like the mincha is mekadesh anything that touches it, giving it the kedusha like the mincha, and if it's pasul, it becomes pasul like the mincha. Af kol mekadesh is biblua. Now, why does it have to say it both by mincha and by chatas? Because Rabbi Kiva holds we learn it out from chatas too. However, v'itzrich l'michta b'chatas, v'itzrich l'michta b'mincha. The ikas rachman b'mincha. You know why a mincha will absorb? Mishum derechicha bala. Because it's soft, it absorbs. Aval chatas maybe emalai. It's not going to absorb from something else. Because it goes both ways. It also absorbs an iser. The ikas rachman b'chatas. Mishum the basar, since it's meat, agav the shamein, since it's very fatty, kader, it will penetrate and go into something else.
Sorry for interruption. Where are we holding? I just came in.
Well, it's wonderful to have you. We are holding on Daf Pei Gimel Amud Aleph, a little bit more than halfway down on Pei Gimel Amud Aleph. Aval mincha emalai, but by mincha, which is not fatty, it doesn't penetrate. So tzricha. But besides, as Taisus explains over here, besides learning that from chatas, he learns out something else from chatas. Ma chatas ain't a ba element of chulin. Chatas could only be brought from free funds. Ubiyayim, it could only be brought in the day. Ubiyadei amanis, and it has to be done with the right hand. Afkol, so also other karbanis ain't a ba element of chulin. Ubiyayim, and in the day ubiyadei amanis. So the Gemara says, how do you know that the chatas could only be brought from free funds? The chatas gufa minalan. Rav Chisda the Amakra v'hikra ha'aron es parachatas asher lai. He brought the parachatas, which was his, in other words, from his own funds, and not from others spoken of funds. Mishalai v'lai mishal ma'aser. Says Gemara, but you're going to, and that's where, therefore, Rabbi Kiva learns out that the Pesach could only be brought from clear funds, because he learns it out from chatas. Says the Gemara b'yayim that it could only be brought in the day. Karbanis is learned out from chatas. It says blanket statement by Karbanis mib'yayim tzavaisa nafka. The day we're commanded. Says Gemara k'dinas. It only says it along with it, but actually it's not needed. B'yadei amanis, but also we know yadei amanis, the right hand, not from chatas. We know that any place that it says koyin and etzba needs the right hand. Midrabba babachana nafka, damrabba babachana amar ishlakish kol makom shenemar etzba kahuna. Wherever it says the codes of etzba kahuna ein el yamin, says the Gemara, this was also kedi nasva. It was just mentioned unnecessarily. In other words, we really don't need chatas for that. What we do need chatas for is that it could only be brought from clear funds, and therefore everything else could only be brought from clear funds. Ashim, what does he do with Ashim? By an Ashim, it teaches us that you could use the bones. If it's bones that don't have marrow, they don't get disqualified as nicer. And you could use them and make knife handles out of them and use them always. Ma Ashim atzmaisa mutarin, the bones are always permitted. Afkol atzmaisa mutarin. So the Gemara says, well, what does Rabbi Akiva do then with that mysterious pasuk? V'zavachta peshach la'Hashem elikecha tzaynu bakar. By the way, that's such a Rabbi Akiva, I v'zavachta pesach tzaynu bakar my avidlei. But that's a pasuk that could keep you up all night. Mark is saying, what are you talking about? I learned the whole Masechtas Pesachim. A pesach could only become from 1 year old sheep and goats. How can you say v'zavachta pesach la'Hashem elikecha tzaynu bakar? Bakar are big animals, it's cattle. Mebaylei l'kirav Nachman. Remember, there's a din that if you have a leftover pesach after pesach, you could use it as a shlamim. So that's pshat. V'zavachta pesach la'Hashem elikecha. Sometimes the pesach could be used for something that's brought from tzaynu bakar, from a shlamim that is brought from tzaynu bakar. Mebaylei l'kirav Nachman. Amar Rav Nachman. Amar Rab Bavua. Menayin l'moiser pesach, that a surplus pesach shekarav shlamim. Shenema v'zavachta pesach la'Hashem elikecha tzaynu bakar. But what does that mean? V'aloyim pesach b'alam n'akvasim n'izim can only bought from 1 year old sheep and goats. That's sign. Ela moiser pesach yihei l'davar abam and tzaynu bakar. It could be used for that which is brought from tzayin or bakar, namely a shlamim. Says Gemara, yeah, but we have another source for that. That surplus pesach is used for shlamim. Do we learn it out from this mysterious pasuk? Medavud is Shmuel nafka. We learn it out from the father of Shmuel. If from the sheep is his carbon lezevach hashlamim. What does that mean? If from the sheep is his carbon, it should be used for zevach shlamim. That which is originally could only become from tzayin, the pesach. If it's left over, it's used as a shlamim. So that's a second source. The Gemara says there's even a third source. There's another pasuk. Vatanya, keves, it says a sheep, l'rabbis es a pesach la'aliyah. It's an extra keves to tell me that the tail of the lamb is also smoked on the mizbeach. Kishu aimer im keves. That im comes to tell me lahavi pesach she'over shnasai. If it's over the hill, it became more than a year old. V'shlamim abam machmas pesach. That's another halacha. The shlam abam machmas pesach is the chagiga that we eat the night of Pesach. Because if we brought a carbon Pesach and we have a lot of guests, it's not enough meat to make people full. So we bring a carbon chagiga in order that they should have first the meat of the chagiga, and then they top it off with the kazayas that they get from the Pesach. And all of these, the kol mitzvah shlamim, they have all the laws of shlamim. Sheyitanu smicha, you need to lean on them, unesachim and libations, utenufas chaz v'shaik. Then kishu oimer v'im eis. It says v'im eis. It doesn't say v'eis. It says v'im eis. Hifsika inyan. That's an interruption. Limeid ala eis. That comes to teach us that the tail of the goat does not need to go on the mizbeach. She'ena tu'una aliyah. So we have 3 psukim. So Gemara says no problem. Plus a kroiksiv. One is where it's after Pesach, and it's also over a year old. The Chad Lov is Manu, it's after Pesach V'loy Avrish Nasai, where it's not a year old. The Chad V'loy Avrish Manu V'loy Avrish Nasai, it's before Pesach. V'tzriche. The Ashmin Avrish Manu V'avrish Nasai, where it's after Pesach, and it's also a year, more than a year old, so it can't even be used for Pesach Sheni. Mishum de'itchelei legamri, that you use as a shlam. Avalav is matter, but if it's after Pesach, but it's not more than a year old, maybe don't use it as shlam, save it for Pesach Sheni. The chazi the Pesach Sheni, emalai, I might think you can't bring it as a shlam. The Ashmina of his mana v'lavrish nasai, where it's after Pesach, and it's not more than a year old, at least it Pesach Rishon. It already was not to be used to a Pesach Rishon. But what if it's Purim and it's still less than a year old? Pesach Rishon nami chazi. It's even fit to be used for Pesach. I might think you can't bring it as a shlamim. Eimalai tzricha. That Pesach shaloi bismanai could be offered up as a shlamim. Hadr lach hatoidoi sabah. Hadr lach hatoidoi sabah. Hadr lach hatoidoi sabah. Now, Kol karbanas hatzibah v'ayachid, all communal karbanas and individual karbanas, the grain can be born min ha'aretz u'mechutzla. It can come from Eretz Yisrael, it can come from the diaspora, min ha'chodesh min ha'yoshin, or from the new crop or the old crop. Chutz min ha'omer u'shtei alechem, except for the omer on the 16th of Nisan, and please be aware that this daf was on, actually this is Shabbos's daf. So it's right after the 16th of Nisan. Chutz min ha'omer, except for the omer, u'shtei alechem, and the 2 loaves of Shavuos, she'enon bo'en ela min ha'chodesh, they can only be brought from the new crop, u'min ha'aretz, and from Eretz Yisrael. Now, the kulan ein bon elam min hamufcha. It could only become from the choicest of flowers. Ve'ezel mufcha shalem. What's the best place to get the flour from? Machnis v'zatka alpha l'seilis. Machnis and zatka are number 1, grade A plus for fine flour. Shniela, the second best place, is Afarayim Babika, Afarayim in the valley. Now, Kol ha'arotzos shares. All places in Eretz Yisrael were kosher. Ela mikanayim avim. These are the best places, so we would bring it from there. Now, our Mishnah holds that the omer and the shtei alechem can never be brought from the old crop. However, Masnisin Deloiki Haitana. Our Mishnah is not like the following Tana. The Tanya Omer Abba Min HaYoshin Kosher. But the Evid, if you brought the Omer from the old crop, it's kosher. Shtei Alechem Abba Min HaYoshin Ksheris. Ela Shechisa Mitzvah. Just you're lacking the Mitzvah and the Mufra, bringing it from the new crop. Omer. How do we know that the Omer is good with the Evid if you bring it from the old crop? D'chsiv Takriv Es Minchas Bikurecha. Offer up minchas bikurecha, it's extra, to tell me, va'afilu min aliyah. You could use even grain that you had stored in your attic from the old crop. She'alechem d'chsiv mimayshvei seichem taviu. So since it says mimayshvei seichem, from your habitat, v'loy min chutzar, it's not from the diaspora. Mimayshvei seichem, va'afilu min aliyah. Says, but we already used mimayshvei seichem to tell me that it's from the diaspora. Ha'apikte, says Gemara Amakra taviu. Taviu, you should bring it even va'afilu min aliyah. Says Gemara, but this taviu we already used earlier in the Masechta to tell me that there's another thing of chametz. The shtei alechem was chametz. There's another thing of chametz, the 10 loaves of taida, which are chametz, that should be the same amount as the taida. Just like the taida, each lechem is in isaron. Just like the shtei alechem, each lechem is in isaron. So it is with the taida. Any other chametz that you bring elsewhere, namely the 10 loaves of the taida, harihu kazeh. That so taviu is not extra. Imkein lichtav tavi. My taviu shmaminotarte also taviu even from aliyah, even from the attic. I voksiv rashis. It should be the first. So that means from the new crop. Lemitzvah. I hoksiv chadasha. Now chadasha is coming to tell me something else. That it's the first carbon that could be brought from the new crop. Hi, mebayle lekidesani Reb Nosson Rabbi Kiva Amru, shte alechem abayis min hayoshin ksheris, they're kosher b'diavad, uman imekayim chadasha, shetei chadasha lekol hamenachos, that no mincha should be offered up from the new crop until lechatchila the shtei alechem is offered up. Okay, so now we have a little bit of another job. It's not a hard job, but we have a little bit of another job because we have a lot of catching up to do with the Mishnah Yomis. So we're going to stop here. I will tell you also two things, very important. Wow, we don't have Irving here, and we don't have Shelley here. So, okay, I guess I'll put it on the chat. For the next 2 nights.
Shelley's there.
Oh, Shelley, you're here. Good. So the next 2 nights, because they're having Mariv here at the hotel, and I'm a hostage, I'm here, there's no shul nearby, so Mariv is 8:20. So we're going to have shir from Sunday night and Monday night at 8:45. You got to put that down. Sunday night.
Enough time for you? 8:20 to 8.
Yeah, that's enough time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to start too late. It'll be 8:45,
Okay.
and the Olam should know that one of those 2 nights we're going to have to do 2 blot. I'm not sure if it's going to be Sunday or Monday, but one of those 2 nights we're going to have to do 2 blot, so that we won't have to do 3 blot on Matzah Yom Tov. So 8:45, Sunday and Monday. I mean, if it takes me a few more minutes to get on, you'll know why. But we're assuming the technology is going to work like tonight. It really worked wonderful. I wonder how the upload speed is going to be. That's going to be another question. But
What time do you think Motzi Yom Tov, Thursday night?
now Matzah Yom Tov will be same time at 9:45.
9:45.
Just like
You stay at the hotel.
right. So now, Rabbi Isai, we're going to do the Mishnah Yomis.